Hello! Today I'm going to be running through every step to doing this basic ass clown. This is how to do clown makeup from somebody who doesn't know how to do makeup. Take it with a pinch of salt, I might be doing shit wrong, but who cares at the end of the day? It's just clowns. And maybe I can be responsible for some brand new clowns today because I know a lot of people are nervous about it because they're like, oh, I'm gonna do the makeup crap. So what if you do? Like I said, it's just a clown. I make big mistakes and look at me, I'm gorgeous. So since I have long hair, the first thing I'm gonna do is get that up and out of my face because we really don't want to be picking hairs out of our white foundation later on. Next up is a hat. You can also use a headband, a hairnet, or a wig cap. Your face is oilier than you think it is. Make sure that you wash your face.
You should wash your hands, you dirty pig.
I didn't do a poo.
You get all of that oil off or it will affect how the makeup stays on your face. I am autistic, so you're going to notice me using a lot of wipes because I have a bit of an issue with the sense of water on my face. I'm also gonna shave my fucking mustache off right now, apparently. You don't have to do this, but I kind of like to, because especially with white foundation, you can kind of see that peach fuzz coming through, but only like really close up. Then we're gonna wipe our face a second time to get rid of any bits of dead skin and hair that might be left on there from shaving. I'm gonna link all of the products that I use in the description. But the foundation that I use is white foundation from Sunset Makeup, and there's also this Clown White by Miron that I use. Every product has its like pros and cons, so it's just about figuring out what's best for you. I'm gonna use this triangle puff thing, I don't know the name of this, but I prefer this over a sponge. I find that the sponges tend to leave more marks and get less of an even coverage for white foundation. So I get a good glob to start off with. You're gonna need like quite a good amount if you want it to be bright white, but it depends like on your preference. And I'm gonna start at the bottom usually because I find that the eyes are the most difficult. They take the most time and attention, so I start off with the bottom of the face and then I gradually work my way to the eyes. Because this clown is going to have an actual nose added on top afterwards, I don't need to do much white foundation around the nose, but I'm just going to show you how I would do that anyway. I literally stick my finger in my nose to pull and stretch my nostril to get in there. Like, if you have to manipulate your face in any way to get that product in there, just do it.
Do it!
Like, it doesn't even matter if you look weird. Don't worry if you're not happy with the coverage straight away, because while it's still wet you can always come and put more in afterwards. And also if you have a decent setting powder or a white powder that you're going to put on your face afterwards, a lot of times that will get rid of a lot of patches or anything like that and truly even it out. Now for the base layer, you can see that I am like literally beating the hell out of my face. At some points I am like really bashing myself like pretty hard to get it that even spread. But if I go back over afterwards to put any more on, I'm gonna do that a bit lighter so that I don't pick up the products from underneath, if that makes sense. It does hurt your fingers, yeah it does, but just, you've got to do it. You've got to do it for the passion of the game.
Do it!
I'm still pretty terrible at eyebrows, and but what I do know has taken me a while to master. I'm never gonna put like fresh product directly onto my eyebrow. I'm gonna like use product from another place and I'm gonna like push it down into my eyebrow like this, and just make sure there's no skin showing through really, because I'm gonna come in with the eyebrow pencil and fix that up afterwards anyway. As you can see, I'm not worrying too much about getting any of the paint on my piercings because I'm going to just wipe this off after. And I'm fading it out into my chin just where my jawline is. I'm not putting it underneath or on my neck or anything like that. The eyes are going to be the last thing that we do because they take the most attention. As I said earlier, I'm going to make sure to get a big old glob just everywhere that I need it. Also, if you're wearing a hat, make sure that you don't just paint your forehead. If you've got a 5 head,
No
you're gonna
offense.
wanna
No, I'm with
pull
you.
that hat up and make sure you get all the way into that hairline, because especially in pictures and stuff like that, because of the dramatic change between the two colors from the white face to your hairline, it can be really obvious if the hairline is messy. This is why I'm thankful for having a fringe there. Back to the eyes, which is what I struggled with the most when I first started doing this. I've got really sensitive eyes. I'm like allergic to a lot of stuff. Things make my eyes water, they make me sneeze, it's like awful. So trying to get it right up to the eyeline was something that I did struggle with in the beginning, but as you can see, I've sort of mastered just like doing it with my eyes open and completely like not caring. I'm just gonna get it everywhere right now, and I'm not gonna worry about if there's creases in it or anything like that, because there's no point fixing the crease to then blink and, you know, remake the crease again. We can worry about that just when we're setting it with the setting powder. And next it's onto the eyelids, the exact same thing. We're not going to worry about if the crease is there or anything right now. Just make sure that you cover all that skin. It can be really hard to get like into the creases, especially right in the corner of your eye, so you can notice I'm not being gentle with myself here, and if I need to like manipulate my face, or I have to like stretch one part of my makeup and ruin one part of it to get in there, I can always go back and like fix a finger mark or whatever later. So I just like really have mastered getting it right on in there. I'm noticing some little patchy parts here that I need to put a little bit more on and fix. With the second layer of makeup, as I say, I'm going to be doing it very gently, because if I press down super hard it might pull up the makeup underneath and make the patch look even worse, which is an issue. So this is why we try to put enough on the first time around. I would rather put too much on than too little, because at least you can take some off, but you can't like really add more on once it's already dry. And here are the final touches. I'm just so lightly gonna just patch up a few parts that I'm not happy with. And you can also see that I'm trying to keep this pad completely flat when I'm dabbing it on my face, and I'm kind of dabbing it in circles like how you would blend normally, in a circular motion. If you press too much on one part, or especially if you have big nails like me, you can end up with like nail marks and stuff like that, so make sure you keep the palm of your hand flat. In my opinion, this is the freakiest stage of the clown, when it doesn't have any of its facial features yet and you just got that plain white face on. I'm just trying to show you it up close here, but really the camera doesn't do it justice for how bad it actually looks like in real life. I presume, like, you know, when you see these kind of things online and you see other people's makeup and you think, oh, that's flawless, why can't I get mine to look like that? The simple answer is that it doesn't look like that, so... Next we're gonna go into powder. Make sure you don't use the wet side of your pad, flip it over. I'm using this setting powder by e.l.f. You can use a translucent one, but having a white one is always good, because like I said, if you've got patches in your foundation, that white powder will just sort you right out. You're gonna want to use a fuck ton of that product, like really just mash that pad in there and just literally, it's gonna blow powder all over the place. So like, make sure you close your eyes if you don't want to get powder in your eyes like I clearly just fucking did, and you're just gonna apply that like everywhere. You just like, I know it looks like I'm doing this quite vigorously because it is sped up, but you can actually do this like quite light. You just want to make sure you really get as much on there as possible. If you have too much, it's fine, because you can totally like blow it off afterwards. I'm gonna use a makeup palette in a second to like fan it off of my face, but usually I just ask somebody to blow me. Make sure you don't miss a single part of it, because if you have one part of your makeup that's sticky, you will definitely notice later that it's not been powdered up. So I'm really gonna focus on getting every single bit of it covered with powder. It's funny actually, because clowning is kind of one of the things that helped me in my struggle with addiction. So at the end of the day, it's all about swapping one white powder for another, guys. We're going to flip the pad back over to the wet side now so that we can fix the wetness under my eyes. I didn't put powder under my eyes yet because they're going to need like a separate treatment where we're really careful that we don't recrease the creases in between fixing them and putting the powder on. It's a bit of a process, but to be quite honest, small creases and stuff, they just don't even matter. You can't see these kind of things unless you come super up close. Like as you can see, as soon as I move my face like a few feet away from the camera, you can't see the creases that much, except for those banging forehead creases. But my fringe is about to come down soon anyway, so that's gonna cover that up. And then here we go again, we're using the wet side to fix up the crease, and then we're gonna come in with the dry side and the powder to set that in place. Also, I don't worry too much about the eyes either, because I usually do like an eyeshadow or something over the top. Remember that your clown is going to have like some features put on this afterwards. Like it's going to be your choice of like colours and shapes, and you can do literally anything you want. So if you do a little fuck up somewhere, you can cover it up so easily. And also, mistakes they're not that much of a big deal if you're a clown. Like if you're someone who stresses about like getting your eyeliner the exact same shape and size and everything being symmetrical and stuff like that, if you're a clown, it really doesn't have to be. Like if you mess up and make something comically big, it's just part of the fun. I started like fanning myself with this. Like I said, I usually just get somebody to come and blow on my face, so I'll just like ask my friend if they'll come blow me real quick, but I didn't have any friends to blow me this time, so we just kind of had to make do. Now I'm using a wipe to get the excess paint and powder off of my eyelashes. You can also do this with your eyebrows, but I don't bother most of the time. It kind of takes a lot of skill to be able to wipe something so small off of your eyelashes without like wiping any of the paint off of your eyelids. So honestly, if you have to skip this step, it doesn't matter. All this does is it just makes it easier when I'm trying to put mascara on later. So the blush is one of the main features of this clown. I'm using this palette. I forgot where it's from, but I'll find it and link it in the description. Get yourself a big old blush brush, and I use every single colour in here because I just think they're all so pretty and I can never decide which one to use, so I just use all of them. You can make sure that you get any excess product off of the brush by tapping it on things. It just stops extra colour pigments just kind of like falling down onto the white foundation where they shouldn't be, because once they're on there it's kind of hard to get them off. So I'm gonna start like packing the colour in there. Like I said at the start of this video, I just kind of taught myself how to do makeup from like, I literally barely looked anything up. So I swear, if I'm not doing the right technique, like this is just how it works for me. I'm gonna like blast that colour in there to start off with, and then eventually I'm gonna start blending it around in a circular motion. I'm not gonna go like too heavy. Like I am quite firm, but I'm really like controlling the pressure that I put on the brush so that I'm not like moving the white product underneath. Because this clown doesn't have any extra shapes or anything like that on the face, the blush for this clown is the main feature, so that's why I'm going so hard on it and I'm putting it literally everywhere, and I'm putting it on so strongly as well. But you really don't need to, and if you just want like a really subtle blush, start off by literally just dabbing your brush on the product a few times. I wouldn't like go in with loads. I would start with less and then add more to your preference, because you know otherwise you're gonna end up with bright pink cheeks, which is kind of what I'm going for here, but I guess it may not be what you're going for. Also, these clowns with white faces, they can be contoured as well. I prefer not to use contour, and I'm gonna say it's because I like my clowns to have a round look in the face. We will pretend that it's not, because I absolutely don't know how to contour and I'm not willing to learn. Blending can take a lot of time, so don't rush it, but also it's important to know when to stop, because if you're not going for a big bold look like this, you can like accidentally make it too dramatic by like carrying on doing it, trying to fix it. So yeah, it really is good to just get like loads of practice in, and this is why I say that no clown is a failed clown, because like they're all just practice clowns. Next, I am doing eyebrows. I have got a brush that is for doing eyebrows, and I'm going to use just a dab of each of those colours because I find that it gives the most natural blend of colours. Tap off any excess, and I literally do not know how to do eyebrows. This is just like what I sussed out. Is that I start on the flick at the end, the tail, the point of the eyebrow, I don't know what the fuck it's called, but I start there anyway, and I start putting most of the product in there, and then I like blend it out to the rest, and it took like a lot of skill. Like, they don't look good as it is, but they look way better than they used to. It takes a while, you know, eyebrows really do require a bit of finessing, a cheeky fondling, but as you can see, it's starting to look a bit more like an eyebrow now, so I guess I must be doing something right. And now my eye has decided to start getting very watery, which happens sometimes. I probably wouldn't recommend putting your dirty sleeve on your eyeball. I'm just a bit of a maniac. I would probably use a cotton bud or something. And then also you can see that I've done a little tiny brown smudge mark, maybe with the eyebrow pencil. I'm just leaving this part in because I'm trying to show you that like mistakes do happen and it's not the end of the world. Like, you can always just cover something up, or you can just accept it as part of the clown. Those are pretty much your two options, but just never give up. Never ever stop clowning, no matter what. Just keep clowning for like 10 seasons of clowns. If you ever get it wet or a tear rolls down your face or anything, don't try to dab the wet off of your face because it will also pick the product back up. Just accept it and wait for it to dry. I have had it before where my eyes have ran so bad with like black eyeliner that it has basically completely ruined the clown, but there's never a bad clown, so I kind of just incorporated those tears into my clown. Now this is one of my favourite parts, is bringing the piercings back to life and making them shiny. This is also a bit of a skill because the first like, I don't know, 10 or 20 times I did this, I also accidentally took makeup off. I'm just getting a little bit of extra that I seem to have gotten on my ear, and that's about it. The only option else to like finalize this would be to like contour a little bit under the chin, you know, where the white foundation meets your natural skin tone on your neck, but I just don't really see a point in this. Like, no one really sees under my chin very much, so I don't really care. I have this little puffy brush here which is for eyeshadow, and I'm going to be using some bold colours. You can pre-plan what colours you're going to use for a clown. I used to draw like the clown faces on paper to try and get an idea of what the different colours and shapes would look like together, but really it's all just about experimenting, so I just kind of usually pick whatever I feel like. So one of the things with clown makeup is that you have to think about how this makeup is going to look on your face when you've finished, especially when you're pulling different facial expressions. So the shape that I'm going to do for my eye here is in the corner of my eye. I'm going to bring it all the way up almost to my eyebrow, and then on the other side of my eye I'm going to keep that shadow a lot lower, so it's going to create this very distinct shape. And I'll show you soon that when I move my face into different expressions, that the shape of that eyeshadow actually really helps convey that expression in my face. So a clown really should be unique to you, and this is why, you know, because your face is so unique and your own facial expressions and the way your face moves is so unique that you really want to design this around you. And one way to test this is to just like, before you even try any of this like makeup stuff with the base and everything, just get like a little pencil or some face paint and try drawing some different shapes like around your eyes, around the mouth, drawing different triangles. Diamonds are usually used, spots are used as well, and just kind of seeing how your face moves with these different shapes on there. It's like a draft run basically. So you might find yourself pulling some really funny faces at yourself in the mirror. I'm doing pretty much the exact same thing with the eyeshadow as I did with the blush. I'm getting quite a lot on the brush, just dabbing off the excess so that it doesn't fall on the rest of my face, and then I'm packing that colour in there like fairly aggressively, and then blending out with the circular motion. I'm gonna pack the colour in where I need the shape to be the most, And also, this is the part where I started fucking it up a little bit because I don't do my clowns by photo reference a lot of the time, so I kind of forget like how it was. But this clown, I believe, does not have eyeshadow coming so close into the nose here. But I guess when I was doing it, I just kind of thought, oh, that looks really cool. It kind of makes my nose look a little bit snatched, so I'm just gonna leave it. So I suppose the clowns can kind of adapt themselves over time and develop into something like a way better, and I love seeing my different clown characters like develop different traits and stuff over time as well. So I did the inner corners of my eyeshadow, and as I said, that goes quite high up almost to my eyebrow, and now with the other side I'm going to mark off the height that I want that to go at. One thing that I really struggle with is like not blending the other side all the way up to the top as well, but I really need that shape to be distinct for my facial expressions, so I'm marking off like just roughly how high I'm going to allow this eyeshadow to go. And then afterwards I'm going to focus on packing that colour in and then blending it out, and then afterwards blending the two colours together so it looks moist. This part is definitely going to be sped up because you don't need to see me blending this shit out for like 15 minutes straight, but you get the point. Blendy, circular motions, you know, just fuck with it a little bit, tickle it, and you know. I'm never going to put fresh product right at the top because otherwise that colour at the top is going to be way too deep. I need it to blend out nicely. So whenever I have brand new product on my brush, I'm going to put it like directly onto my eyelid, you know, that first point that I want to be brighter, and then I'm going to blend the product up gradually. Because one issue I also have is with making like block shapes that are just completely the same colour and having like no actual blend or gradient in there, but I think I'm getting better at it. Now that I've got roughly what I want on there, but it's a bit patchy, I need to fill it out, I'm gonna go back for blue and back for purple as well. Just clean my brush a little bit in between because the colours are so similar anyway. I don't really care about mixing them up a tiny bit, but as you can see, I'm just packing both colours back on, and then I'm gonna do this sweepy motion from one side to the other to blend them in together. When my brush is like almost bare of product, I'm kind of just swiping a tiny, barely even noticeable bit of colour onto that white part that comes just before my eyebrow. I find that it stops it look so dramatic, if that makes sense, and it blends it all a bit in nicer together. Face paint is one of those things that does not need to be expensive. Snazaroo face paint for kids is literally the best one I've found so far. It's always under a tenner for one of those massive palettes, and let me tell you, I've not actually run out of one yet, and I have used these to do full body paint. So we're going to be activating this with setting spray instead of water, just to give it a bit more durability. You don't need to add much, honestly, just a spray or two will do. You're going to want to figure out what consistency is best for you, but generally I find that if you make it too thick, the lines aren't going to go on very smooth and straight, and if you obviously do it too runny, then the colour is not going to be there, or it's going to run down your face. So you just need to figure out what is the right consistency for you, but I will try and show you now what I'm actually doing. I'm going to make it just thick enough that it can't like fall off my brush, but not so thick that it's like I can feel the tension when I'm moving through it with my brush. I'm twisting it around on a drier part just to get a really nice defined point to use. I use face paint instead of eyeliner. I just feel like I have so much more control being able to choose the size and type of brush that I want and the thickness of the product. Also, it's so much cheaper. Imagine how much money you would spend on little tiny pots of eyeliner when you could just get this big pot of face paint that you just activate whenever you need some. And yeah, it will literally last you months. Eyeliner is one of those things that people really struggle with. I never actually did makeup really before doing clown makeup, so I've always been like really bad at this, and one of the mistakes that I was making was just presuming that like the same shape of eyeliner should be fine for everybody. So I'm just doing like a straight up, like I'm just covering my eyelid and doing like a straight up wing, and then I'm wondering like why it doesn't look good on me. But you have to realize that everybody has different shape eyes and different types of eyelids and stuff, and because my eyelids are folded, it's really hard to get like a wing that's going upwards. So I kind of just follow my eye downwards, and I find that that is a lot easier to do and it looks a lot better. So just look into like the different types of eyeliner for different eye shapes and do some experimenting. If you find it difficult to keep your hand steady while you're doing this, you can always use your other hand to hold one arm. It kind of stabilizes it a lot more, or you can rest on something. I also have to get really close to the mirror because for obvious reasons, I can't have my glasses on while I'm doing my makeup. So a lot of my makeup brushes are actually snapped in half because with the length of the brush, I can't get close enough to the mirror. I wasn't using a snapped one here, but you can see that I'm kind of struggling because of that. But yeah, I just take it one bit at a time, and I try to just add only little bits on, because obviously with eyeliner you get that thing where if you make one of them uneven, you kind of make the other one bigger to compensate, and then you just end up with fucking raccoon eyes at the end. So to avoid that, I'm just adding on like tiny bits, and I'm always like looking back and looking forward, directly forward, to compare them and kind of make sure that they match. But yeah, you really don't need to have eyeliner. This is just like an extra bit. And also I find that if you have a black eyeliner, it gives you a little bit more wiggle room with the eyelashes, because then when you put the eyelashes on, it doesn't really matter too much if there's like a little bit of a gap there, because you can't see it anyway because of the eyeliner basically. I'm also going to use my eyeliner as like a little bit of a guide as to where I want to put my eyelashes. I had a big issue in the beginning with putting my eyelashes way too close, like inwards to the corners of my eyes, into my nose basically, and that's when they would scratch me and poke me in my eyes and stuff. So I always put my eyeliner just a little bit away from the corner of my eye, so that then when I'm doing my eyelashes, I know not to go too close into that corner. This mascara is so old, and I realized when I was like editing this video that it's just a really bad example. You really should throw your makeup away when it's expired, even if there's still some left in there. And I really just haven't gotten around to buying any new mascara, but I'm totally gonna buy some right this second, because yeah, it's not good, especially around your eyes as well. Like, that's a really sensitive area to be putting an expired product on. But yeah, I'm putting my mascara on now because I want it to be dry by the time I'm trying to stick my eyelashes on. This is gonna help to cover up any white bits that were like still on my eyelashes. And I'm really getting it in there, like I'm putting it in and wiggling it to try and get as much product in there as possible. I also just noticed that I forgot to wipe the white paint off of the piercing below my lip. So I just wanted to share that with you all, because I'm not being annoyed at this on my own. I'm passing it on to you now, so now it can irritate you as well. You're welcome. Now I'm going to do the Freckles, which is a big part of this cloud. I think it would look awfully bare without it. I'm using the lid of the face paint to just get as little product on there as possible, and I'm just going to start dabbing away. Try not to think too much about it, because if you think too much into like exactly how many you're placing and where you're placing them and if they're symmetrical, you'll just put way too many on, or you'll not be happy with it. I literally just blob them on randomly, but I tried to keep like the pressure random, so some of them I'll put the pressure really light, and then some of them I'll just do a big blob, and that helps it look a bit more natural, I suppose. They're not very good, these Freckles, to be quite honest. I've seen people do some really good ones, but I just don't really give a shit about doing them good because I'm a clown. I am awfully keen to try out broccoli for this, because that just seems like it'd be really funny. Now I'm going to start taking the paint off of my lips, and this is going to help me define the shape that I want. Sometimes I just use a lipstick on its own, but today I'm going to use my face paint and setting spray combo for basically the outline and most of the lip, and then I'm going to use the lipstick afterwards to obviously give it that shiny lip look. But apparently before we do that, we're going on a little side quest and we're doing an optional second layer of mascara because I just really want them eyelashes to pop. So I'm going in with my face paint and setting spray combo, just doing the outline of the shape that I want. I'm using my finger on my chin just to stabilize my hand, and like I said, I would usually be using a brush that had been snapped in half for this part because I have to get so close to the mirror to actually see what I'm doing, but this time I couldn't find it, so I suppose that's why I messed it up a little bit. I'm going to use my natural lip line as just like a rough guide, and then I'm going to work on changing the shape slightly to get the look that I'm going for. I definitely don't think that face paint is the best product to use for this, but it works. I'm sure that there are products that are meant for lips that are doing a much better job at this, but I bought a couple of lipsticks from Sunset Makeup and they were kind of dry and crispy, and they kind of flaked off after a while, so I really do need to go out and try some different lip products now. This is the part where I fucked it up and I got really upset, so it's kind of painful to watch, but it's also a reminder that mistakes can be fixed because I didn't show this on camera, but what I did was I fixed the edge by going back in with some white foundation just very gently, and as you can see, you can't even tell that I fucked up. Now I'm going to go in with the lipstick to make these suckers shiny. I'm going to use the lipstick part for this, but then for the edges, I'm going to edge them with the brush. It's always important to edge very carefully and precisely if you're into that kind of thing. One thing that I really like to look for in lipsticks is whether it leaves a stain on my lips, because that means that obviously if the lipstick comes off at any point, you still don't have bare lips, you know? It might not be as bright as the colour that you originally put on, but it's not going to completely like destroy your look if some of it comes off. Next we're going in with some eyelashes, again completely optional, but I just feel like lashes complete a clown a lot of the time. I have never tried this particular glue that I'm using here before. It was a little bit runnier than the ones that I've used before, but it did eventually work out fine. I just had to wait a little bit longer for the glue to dry and go tacky before putting them on. I always use glue that dries clear. I don't know what kind of maniacs are using black eyelash glue. You must be like super brave, because I literally get it all over my eyelids and all over the place. But basic tips is just to get a good eyelash glue. Like if you buy a cheap one and you're having issues with them sticking, that is why. I would buy like the cheapest glue for so long and then be like, oh, I'm so bad at sticking eyelashes on, this is so fucking difficult, like, but really a good glue and having actually good eyelashes makes a whole difference. So I'm putting like quite a lot of glue on here, and I'm putting blobs as well. I'm making sure to put like a little bit more on the two edges, because the corners of the eye is where it kind of sticks up the most. I'm also just going to dab a little tiny bit of the glue on my eyeline as well, where I'm going to be sticking them just for a bit of extra strength. It takes a good while for the glue to actually set and become properly tacky, so just try not to rush it, and if you need to, you can give it a little pokey poke to see if it's ready yet. You want it to be like tacky and for none of it to like come off on your finger basically, and then that's when you want to start trying to apply them. And if you are like me and you need to put your eyelashes on by like stretching your eyelid in some way so that you can actually get to where you're trying to put them, obviously if you usually use your fingers to stretch your face, but you've got the white paint there, so you're gonna get the paint like coming off of your face onto your fingers, which is so fucking annoying. So here is a hack for that. Just get the powder puff pad thing that you used earlier. Make sure that you're not using the wet side. You need to use the dry side, and then if it's not got like much powder on it or whatever, you can put like a tiny bit of powder on. You don't have to put like loads on like we did when we were doing the actual powder bit, but just make sure there's a little bit on there, and then it just means that if you have to put it on your face like this to stretch your eyelid so that you can get your eyelashes on or whatever, that it won't take any of your makeup off. Make sure you've got a straw for your beverage, because you would not want to ruin your makeup with your beverage. I didn't film me actually putting my eyelashes on because I thought it would make me panic too much. This is like the most intense part for me, so I did that part off camera, but I'm just showing you that like I'm using the end of one of my paintbrushes to kind of pull the eyelash down and into the place that I want it. You need to have some skill at putting things near your eyes to do this. Don't just be like doing it if you think you're gonna poke yourself in the eye or something, because that's not good. And here is a close-up of my handiwork. For some reason, can't remember what I was going to put on this voiceover part, so there you go, wink wink. Also, here's another wonderful tip. If your eyelashes are a bit too straight, you want them to be like bendy, it's gonna make it like so much easier to put them on your eye. I usually bend them around my pinky finger like this and just hold them for a while, and then you will have a little curly boy. Then here I'm just repeating the process for the other eye. Also, I have bad teeth. If you have bad teeth like me, be careful when you're choosing your lip colours, because it can either make your teeth look whiter or spooky yellow. And now, the final makeup look is complete, but it wouldn't be a clown without the nose. I get my noses from the Red Nose Factory. They are the best. I got this recommendation from another clown, and thank God I did, because those cheap Amazon noses are just not hitting it. It just is not good. It's not good. They have all different shapes and sizes, and they have different colors, and they even have little glittery ones. So we're gonna try on some noses and see which one fits. But before we do that, I'm gonna take a wipe and I'm gonna wipe off the excess white on my nose. Obviously, I just put that there earlier to kind of show you how to put it on your nose if you needed to. It's always good to get it in the creases, especially if you're painting a nose on. But because this is like a silicone nose that is going to be attached to my face, it does get sweaty in there. It does, like, because obviously the moisture from when you breathe and stuff, and all that moisture makes the white foundation on your nose very wet and sticky, and it can be uncomfortable. So I always have like a weird little nose patch of bare naked nose. If you have nails, it can be a bit of a struggle to do this, so here's another hack. You can wrap a wipe or a cloth or whatever around the end of paintbrushes. I've also seen people wrapping them around like a card, you know, like a bank card type of card, for like wiping straight edges and stuff like that. But honestly, it just helps so much. Righty, it is my favorite part, the final finishing touches of the clown. It is the nose try-on session. These noses, they have these two little nibs that just stick right out. You stick them up your nostrils and then you flip the nose, pop right onto your nose. I only have 3 of these noses at the minute. I have the light blue, I have a dark blue and a red, because those are just kind of the base colours that I use for my clowns, but I am looking to collect all of them. And it wouldn't be makeup with me if I didn't forget one of the steps that I have to kind of half-arsely do afterwards. But I always put a bit of extra mascara on after the eyelashes have dried, just to kind of blend them in together. And you can see here, you can still kind of see some white that got on my lashes earlier from the foundation. So I'm just going to attempt to kind of paint over that with the mascara and blend it in a bit nicer together. And this is the final clown look. When I'm trying to pick my outfits, usually I'm going to go on like Vinted or something. I'm going to look for like second-hand things, different clothes from different people's wardrobes. I just love having all those different styles expressed in one outfit. And the great thing is when you're a clown, there is no fashion rules. You can mix it up however you want to.